A Father's Love, Episode 34, The Unassuming Achiever. There was a school assignment I had to complete. It involved writing about someone who achieved something impressive and what that person achieved. The individual could be dead or alive. There would be a presentation every week until everyone had presented. I was second to last to present. Some people presented about celebrities, while others talked about a family member. There were also presentations about political leaders. On the day of my presentation, I wore a robe over my regular dress. The robe was covered with all kinds of writings that made no sense. "Today's presenter knows himself," the teacher said from his seat. I stood up as he motioned for me to come to the front. The person I'm talking about has traveled all over the world. He attended a prestigious university in his home country where he studied data management when it was still a new field. He later moved to South Africa, where he played a vital role in significant infrastructure projects. "Does he have a name?" the teacher interrupted. "The name will be revealed later," I replied with a smile. By the time he had to leave South Africa, his employer was begging him to stay, but he had bigger ambitions in Asia. I paused and noticed that many in the audience were struggling to stay focused. While in Asia, he worked on multiple projects in different countries as an expatriate. Many of these projects have had a lasting impact on our world today. "Could you give an example of one of his projects?" Rick asked, stifling a yawn. "He led the development of BAMI." Some classmates looked at each other, wondering what BAMI was. "It's that big medical breakthrough for treating dementia," Angela exclaimed excitedly. "My grandpa was a beneficiary." I froze, as Angela's interjection wasn't part of the plan and could have a significant impact on the outcome. "Oh, that medical breakthrough has affected the lives of millions, if not billions, worldwide," Ben added enthusiastically. Side conversations started as I struggled to regain control. My eyes met with Kojo's. He looked perplexed. "Let him finish," the teacher shouted. From Asia, he lectured at top schools worldwide and finally settled in our great country last year. The entire class looked on in awe. "As a matter of fact, he's in our city today but couldn't make it here." Oh, the entire class expressed disappointment. I was able to get in touch with his son, who will be able to answer some questions. "Yes," most people exclaimed in excitement. "Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Kojo." The class erupted into confusion. Kojo stood up, his gaze fixed on the ground. "The person you're describing is Kojo's dad?" Sophie said slowly. I nodded. Everyone turned to Kojo, who kept his gaze fixed on the ground. "Kojo," Linda said gently, "your dad saved my great-aunt, who's my legal guardian." Kojo slightly turned to Linda. "Your dad is my hero," Bev said excitedly as she stretched to squeeze Kojo's hand. Hats off to Kojo's dad for being such a great inspiration and affecting the lives of many. Rick stood up and clapped continuously. The rest of the class joined in, and soon the entire room was standing and applauding. I was thrilled by how things had turned out until I noticed Angela standing next to Kojo. I motioned for the applause to stop, and it gradually faded. "Kojo, I'm so sorry for how I've treated you unfairly in the past," Angela said, her voice trembling. "I've always believed that all immigrants are uneducated and inferior. Your dad saved my grandpa." Kojo looked at me, and I nodded subtly, encouraging him to respond to Angela. "Thank you, Angela," Kojo said slowly. The entire class erupted with excitement and applause. "This concludes my presentation," I announced as I walked back to my seat. The applause continued. The teacher clapped a few times, then dismissed everyone with a wave of his hand. He turned to me and asked, "How did you manage to pull that off?"